Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is on peace out to the rest of you. It is the blackest hearted, blackest mind, the blackest man on social media, signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit that share button because the message is more important than the messenger. And this message is going to be about, as you see in the title, black conservatism. Now, what is a pro-black conservatism? Well, in short, I'm not going to lie to you. It is very compatible with my faith, and that's why I can sit up and promote it. But it is also just in general practical force, which is part of why it's compatible with what I believe in. Because what I do believe in is that something's got to be practical to you before you can afford to focus on it. And you can take practicality from certain things that you may not have otherwise, or on the surface, initially known about. So when some Muslims tell me, well, you know, Black Heart, you need to focus more on fasting and acts of worship. Should I? Well, we're talking about eternal life here, so yeah, why not? But now, what also is that going to do for oppressed people right here, right now? And the oppressed people leading and being oppressed and never getting relief would be black folks. Now, we're not the only ones being oppressed. I'm not saying that. But we're leading in that for one reason. If you combine the severity of our oppression with the duration of our oppression, then we're unequaled in that. Also, other people generally find sympathy before we do. So they may find some sort of international support. The Palestinians are going through they're going through almost what we went through in slavery, but they haven't been going through it for as long. As an example, that's one example. The Rohingya have been going through it for decades, but not necessarily for centuries like what we did. They're facing terrorism. And I've already talked about how we should relate to other people. So, you know, our support for Palestinians and even for Rohingya, while we should admit when what they're going through is wrong, we can't necessarily lock arms with them and start marching with them, let alone pick up weapons against their oppressors with them until we make sure that they have toppled the false god of whiteness and the false religion of white supremacy in their minds. If they haven't done it, God damn it, it doesn't matter what the hell somebody else does to them. Because just like I've said that Islam is the solution for black folks, I'm also going to tell you that the enemy of it is white supremacy. It's not only Hinduism. White supremacy, Islamophobia, and Hinduism are a trifecta that are aimed against everybody that's Muslim and everybody that's black. The white supremacists might hate Hindus in Hinduism not because the gods are white, but because the worshipers are not. That may be true. But they are a trifecta against us. Don't get that twisted. That's one of the reasons that Israel, the United States, and India are they're such good allies to each other. China's in on it too, by the way. China's had a war against many of its ethnic minorities. Muslims are only one of them. That's a different topic. Getting back to black conservatism that we need, let me tell you this. We black folks, we have to understand we need there's a specific kind of conservatism that we're going to need. And that is when we are conservative because it benefits us and it does not benefit white folk. And it doesn't benefit anybody that sympathizes with white folks and looks up to them as some sort of standard. Neither a standard of appearance nor a standard of functionality. They're not. Their advancement does not come about because of anything they do except that they organize more than we do. And they usually only do that when they're against somebody else. Remember, Europe fought 2 world wars because they forgot about everybody else. That's why. In order to fight their world wars, they had to forget about the darkies outside. And even then, they started to utilize us darkies in the forms of their colonies against each other. That's a different story, but that's part of it. We have to understand, though, that, see, we may need to hear certain things, but we have to understand the reason for these things. We don't have a warrior class. So we can no longer sit up here and act like the thug is the warrior class. He's not. If he can't shoot a cop in the head, if he can't kill George Zimmerman, then we can't call him part of that warrior class. Now, they may be the closest thing we have to it, but we have to understand that they've pretty much been de-armed. Even if they have access to pistols, they don't have access to medical treatment that white folks don't approve of. That means that they do take vengeance against anybody that murders us and gets away with it. They're going to be wanted, and every hospital has to turn them in if they show up for treatment for wounds. That means you don't fully have a warrior class. Now, one thing that is very true, the thug, and I want y'all to keep this in mind, the thug does not have to change in order to be more acceptable to white society. F them and what they think. Yes, it is very true that there is such a thing as a, there is resistance. There is resistance. That is very true. There is rebellion. If he wants to reject their mores and their standards, that's not necessarily wrong. The issue is that he wants to reject that which is even practically good for himself and for other people. That's where we take issue with him. If he doesn't want to talk like white folks, great, fine, dandy. He needs to know how to, so as to code switch. But if he doesn't want to do that, if he doesn't want to talk like them when he's talking with some of us, that makes perfect sense. He still has to be understandable, though. If our English is going to be different from whites, fine. It still needs to have its own rules so that we can understand each other. See, a lot of times we can't even understand what the other one's trying to say. Let's call it what it is. What we hear coming today from our teenagers and our young adults is not AAVE. It's mumbling. And we can't afford that. You see, the so-called slave English, the plantation English, was oftentimes used to sound extra stupid in front of white folks. Yes, sir, boss. He ran that way. He went north, sir. And then point south like you don't even know which way north is. That type of dumb stuff. Subterfuge. We had to use that a lot of times. But now you got guys that'll tell you a whole story and say not a goddamn thing. It was like, boom, I got it. And I was like, you know, man, woo, woo, woo. Yeah, okay, what happened? What is woo, woo, woo? Boom, what, man? Damn, dude, say something. That's what we're dealing with right now in today's time. Do we need to learn to pull our pants up? Yes. Do we need to do it for white folks? No. And I heard somebody say, and he was actually a guest on Anonymous, a non-black man and light-skinned motivations channel, say that, you know, mindset overcomes everything. Actually, when you're a black conservative, you understand that mindset is like being black was in the 60s and 70s. H. Rap Brown, now Jamil Al-Amin, said being black is necessary but not sufficient. Okay, so we'd have to understand mindset is necessary but not sufficient. Mindset does not overcome everything else. No, it does not. You are going to face certain things because you are black, and you're going to face them even from other non-white people. You're going to face certain things even from black people because you are black. Open up a black-owned business, you're going to face obstacles that whites don't face. They don't always have a success rate. Their businesses don't always succeed when they open them up, supported by other white people. Their businesses could fail. This happens to them actually more often than we think. So do you think that you, with your black-owned business, and their bias against you and our bias against each other are going to just succeed because of your mindset? Your mind is not going to make them buy stuff from you that they don't want. Your mind is not going to make your own people buy stuff from you that they are insistent upon getting for free. You're going to face obstacles. You may not win. Black conservatism does mean, however, that you observe something and you think tactically about everything you do, even about the way you dress and about the way you speak. It does mean that. And it means that you do what is better for black folk, including for yourself, not what is more acceptable to the one that doesn't like you anyway and even hates you and is oppressing you, which is why he has the advantages he has. Or whose grandparents oppressed you, by which he or she inherited the advantages they have. Even for them, no, you don't do that what is good for them. You do understand. You need to know history so that you understand how to be a pro-black conservative. See, a lot of pro-blacks don't want to be conservative about many things. Now, they be more conservative than your average street nigga idness, but they still aren't necessarily trying to be really conservative about, not conservative to the level that is necessary. And what level is that? That's real easy. It's real simple to understand. The level of conservatism that is necessary is that which is beneficial to you and does not benefit your enemies. And it doesn't even benefit people that are okay with your enemies and think your enemy is more normal than you are. That's what it is. So it doesn't necessarily change everything you do. It changes some things you do, but it changes the reason why you do them, and that's how you know what to change and what not to change. Do you pull your pants up for yourself, or do you pull your pants up for white folks' approval? Do you actually try to learn an African language And you're going to name your kid with an actual name from that language if you're going to do that? Or do you simply try to just throw everything African together and say this is African and then make up other stuff as you go along? That's how you do it. Because I'm going to tell you now, white conservatism ain't going to help us, but also liberalism ain't going to help us. Neither one of these is necessarily going to work. It just ain't. Black folks have a right to complain. We also have a responsibility, or actually we have a compulsion to improve certain things, even though the failure of these things and systems may not be our fault. But we cannot sit up here any longer and start acting like we're wrong because we are concerned about black this and black that, black issues. We also can't sit up here and act like because we super black, we just gonna make up a new religion and call it African spirituality as we go along either, because then that's gonna veer off into everything else. And you're gonna have niggas talking about some 5,000 years ago, the original black man in chemical flying didn't have to use the bathroom, brother. Facts. No, that's not true. You're gonna have somebody sitting up in her car recording a video, because I saw with my own eyes, talking about some 5,000 years ago, there were no men. And that men are an evolutionary offset just to make procreation easier. Like, really? That's the truth? There were no men? 5,000 years ago? Really? That's what you're going to have. And people talking about, this is African. You're going to have people walking around eating raw garlic and onions talking about this is healthy, but stinking all the damn time, even when they take baths and brush their teeth. Because that's African. You're going to have people taking things from India, from Hinduism, talking about it's African, when it's not. You're going to have people walking around talking in fake Jamaican accents, claiming to be from Africa, when in fact their DNA is already from there. They don't need to fake anything else to be such. Like what we got right now. Yeah, pro-black community is in shit shambles because of too much liberalism. And then when people get sick of it, they turn around and go the opposite end of the extreme, and they go straight conservative, like what Eldridge Cleaver did. Come on now, bruh. You're going from raping people and saying that that's perfectly okay to trying to combine Christianity and Islam into Chrislam to becoming a straight Republican. Nigga, are you crazy? I hope that one day all this isn't true anymore. And in the meantime, I hope it helps, because Lord knows we need it. The blackest of the black sign and black out, assalamu alaikum, and black male heterosexual power, simply because she don't like it.